If you're someone in the United States looking for a Forex broker, it's been hard to find recently. There's been a lot of changes in the industry, so I wanted to take a moment to tell you guys about Oanda. Oanda is a US regulated brokerage that allows US traders to trade currency pairs like the euro dollar, the pound dollar, the dollar yen, Kiwi yen, all sorts of different currency pairs. So if you're interested in checking out Oanda, we're going to be dropping a link in the chat right now as we speak. They, again, are a huge brokerage in the United States that allows you to trade without the worry of whether or not your account is going to get shut down tomorrow from an offshore, unregulated, sketchy brokerage. They have been around for a long time, and I've used them myself for a number of years. So if you're looking to trade FX and you're in the US, this is the brokerage to check out in my personal opinion. So take a look at it. We'll drop the link in the chat, like I mentioned, should also be in the description of this live stream. Do your due diligence and see if it's right for you. Now back to the show.
Hello. I'm filling in for Nick on the start of the stream. I hope everyone's well. Oddly, hey guys, I'm new to this. So I'm gonna need some help knowing when to place a trade on. My friend, it's not that simple. You shouldn't really be coming to streams to just copy trades, especially from people you don't know. However, we do give you insights, so feel free to ask questions if there is something that you specifically want covered. I'm still watching DAX. We spoke about DAX yesterday. I still feel like this is a really strong setup. I'm not in yet, although it did come down towards the entry. So yesterday we were looking at the aggressive entry, which was the most recent low to recent high. I was considering taking this, but I didn't do it. So I think that this is probably ready. Now, all I'm looking for from here is some sort of bullish confirmation, whether it be a bullish H4 candle close, whether it be H1, just something to tell me that momentum is coming back to the upside. Now, we do still have a very, very good reading here on the Edge Finder for the DAX. Retail is still long, but as I mentioned yesterday, retail positioning when it comes to things like the DAX, NASDAQ, S&P, to me don't really mean that much because, you know, general consensus is to buy them generally anyway. Obviously, unless we have like a black swan event or tariff situation start picking up. But anyway, seasonality is still bullish. Overall, this still looks very, very good. Put to call ratio is a little bit leaning towards greed, which puts me off slightly, but I'm willing to take the risk on DAX. There's really no issue for me. Trader Anthony, where is Nick? Nick, I think, is an airport last time I heard. So I'm just filling in for half an hour, just covering the starting segment. And then I'm not sure who's on after me. Let me just take a quick look. Ball out, hello. Jesse, I'll get to your question in a second. Okay, so after me, I think it's just Chris Pulver. I think you've got a short one today by the looks of it. So do I use limit orders? Not really. So generally, in a situation like this where I'm sat pretty much at the desk all day, every day, there is no reason for me to set limit orders because I like to see, in a situation like this, I don't like to enter when the candles pump into the downside or pushing to the downside. I like to enter once I've seen that pump to the downside and then a confirmation that we might be coming back up. So I like to wait for that bullish engulfer in this situation or a bullish candle close. So if I've got a limit order, I'm going to get tagged in straight away, which I don't really like to do. The only situation I would set a limit order is if I'm going away somewhere and I'm very confident in an idea. Alpha Main, hello. Man, it feels good to be back. It's good to see you all again. It's been a while, although I was on yesterday. Oh yes, ADP. So ADP came in really poor today. We had a slight swing down on the dollar, but it doesn't seem to have done too much. So ADP came in at negative 33, which is really poor. Bear in mind, forecast was at 95 and previous got revised down to 29. So yeah, really, really not good there for ADP. And if you are going to use that as a signal for NFP, which to be honest, there's a debate out there. Is ADP a signal or an indicator to sort of assume what NFP could do? So obviously if ADP misses, NFP generally misses and vice versa. I'm not 100% sure that that's really a relevant argument to make, but it is a bit concerning either way that we've had such a poor poor ADP. However, looking at the dollar, it's still, in my view, looks like a perfect buying opportunity. Now, when I say that, I want to be very, very clear. I'm not buying the dollar. I'm not saying you should buy the dollar. I'm just saying technically, this looks like a really, really strong place to buy. Now, keep in mind, this is on a monthly time frame. this trend has been established really since 2008, since back here. We're on our third touch. We're just about at this 200 moving average. We've got an oversold RSI. So yeah, technically it looks very, very good. However, again, as I'm saying that, I'm not saying to go and buy it, because let me just show you. Let me just pull up the Edge Finder here for you. So you can see euro dollar is very bullish. New Zealand dollar, very bullish. We've got AUD USD, very bullish. We've got US dollar Swiss, very bearish. Dollar yen, bearish. US dollar CAD, very bearish. So looking at just the readings here, buying dollar is probably not the best move. So yeah, I'm gonna just chill. Main thing, as I said yesterday, is we need to see what's going to happen tomorrow. Because just a quick reminder for anyone that isn't aware, normally we have NFP, unemployment, average hourly earnings. That all comes on Friday, on the first Friday of every month. But we have it tomorrow because Friday coming is July the 4th, I think, which is obviously US holiday. So it's been moved over to Thursday. So do not get caught out tomorrow. Don't be in some heavy dollar longs thinking that you're completely safe until Friday, because you might get a nasty shock or a very happy surprise. But yeah, just be aware. So this is really going to set the stage, to be honest, for where the dollar is going to go next. It's going to be a case of, obviously, we're now looking, is the dollar going to move up? Is it going to move down? That next leg, in my view, is going to be heavily influenced by what we get tomorrow. The expectations are poor. So forecast for NFP is lower at 110. Actually, sorry, let me just put this back on screen so you can see it. So expectations for NFP are poor. So you can see previous is 139. Forecast is 110. We've got average hourly earnings. It's also expected to come down at 0.3 from 0.4. We have got services PMI that is actually expected to come up, which would be good if we could get above 50. That would show a little bit of expansion there. We did have positive manufacturing as well yesterday. It's hung around 49, so not the best, but it was definitely some sort of light in the dark, to say the least. OT, yeah, I'm good, thank you, buddy. How are you? Sorry, I'm just catching up on the chat. Give me a second here. What time frame do I use for confirmations? Generally the H4 and the H1 to actually get into the market, and then I'll watch and do analysis on the H4 and the daily, and then I'll use the weekly and the monthly for major levels of support, resistance, key levels, anything that may be something that I need to pay attention to on higher time frames. What's happening to sterling? That's a good question. I'm fairly sure. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with sterling. I'm fairly sure something happened with the government and some sort of policy or something. But again, I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to speak on that just yet. Maybe Chris Pulver will know. I've been more paying attention to the dollar over the past couple of days. James, give us a short briefing on what happened with the secretary in the UK, considering you're from there. Again, off me, I've got absolutely no idea. I've got no inkling into what's going on with the UK right now. Although saying that, I should do, because I am in these Euro-pound shorts. So I was showing these yesterday. So I had these two open positions. And again, this is just a very simple mean reversion position. Because if we look at the typical, actually, let me put it on the, let's do the weekly. If we look at the typical behavior of this market, it's very choppy. So we often have quite aggressive upside followed by prolonged downside that often goes lower than the previous low. Aggressive upside, lower lows here, aggressive upside, lower lows. So I'm just looking for that similar market behavior to occur. I do have a mental stop here. So if I do get stopped out, or I do reach that, or price does reach that level, I'll lose about 1.5% capital, which, you know, is pretty irrelevant, I'll be honest, especially to say such a long-term trade. And I'm collecting positive swaps throughout this, so it's quite a decent one to hold. Currently long gold, but she's playing. I've not paid any attention to gold either, actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, technicals are a little bit rocky, to be honest. Let me just see. I don't think there's anything on the Edge Finder for gold, is there? No, it's pretty neutral. It's got a reading of 4. COT is obviously long, as they generally are. Seasonality is bullish. So yeah, I mean, I would favor longs over shorts, especially over the ADP data we got today. And obviously, I can't sit here and say I'm optimistic for tomorrow's data. I just can't do it because it's, yeah, I mean, the forecasts are not great. ADP is not being great. I mean, services could be okay. That's the only thing I'm a little bit hopeful for. So I would be looking to buy gold, to be honest with you. But as I said yesterday, I'm not super bullish. I'm not super bearish. So it leaves me in a position where I'm not looking to do anything really. So just from a technical view here, what I'm looking for is either a break lower here or a retest here and then break high. And then we'll be looking to go long. So keep in mind, one of the big themes at the minute is obviously the Fed. I mean, the big theme is always the Fed. But the Fed's been on hold because of uncertainty, data dependent, blah, blah, blah. We've had very poor ADP. If we get poor unemployment and poor NFP, that might be the catalyst to push gold over to, to push the Fed to cutting in July. I'm still not certain on that. I don't expect them to cut in July, but it would significantly increase the chances. Ball out, hello. Trading stocks is here. I've got to say, actually, I don't trade stocks very often, but I'm starting to look at stocks a little bit more. I must say, Trading Stocks channel is very, very good. I watched his Tesla video this morning, so I'm looking to buy a bit of Tesla, take one of Nick's signals on there. How much swaps am I getting for euro pound? Not much, because let me show you something very quick. The position size we're using is only 0.05. As I said, it's very, very small because it's a long-term trade and it could get stopped down. It looks like it might hit mental stops, actually. But if you ever wanted to look at your swaps, obviously this does really vary on your broker, because some brokers are just charge negative swaps, just flat, which is something you should pay attention to. If your broker's charging negative swaps all the time, maybe find a little bit of a better broker that does pay you what the swaps should be. So the swap I'm currently getting paid is 2.1%. So what we do is take away, obviously, the interest rate of each currency. So we take the euro interest and the pound interest, or ECB and the BOE, and that gives us whether we will get paid to buy or sell in terms of swaps. I do have a video actually fully about swaps on my channel. Lee James, good to see you. ADP. You know what? Yeah, you could say no one cares about ADP, but I think the markets are very sensitive right now around the dollar. So anything is going to really sway. Now, I'm just going to quickly pivot back to what I said about wanting to buy dollar. Now, again, I know I said it before, but I just want to be super, super clear. I'm not saying I am buying dollar, and I'm not saying you should buy the dollar, because it's a little bit of a tricky one. But from a what's the word? Counterplay, or I can't remember what the word is. But anyway, from sort of an opposite view, I guess you would say, is COT is extremely stretched to the short side. The market is extremely bearish. So this is, to me, screaming that the market could do the opposite. So if you think about, a lot of times when markets get crowded one direction, what often happens, well, we often have a reversal. Now, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just something to keep in mind. So I wouldn't be going heavy short dollar here. Obviously, you can be short or bearish on dollar. That's completely fine. I would agree with you. But I think right now to actually go and sell dollar is a little bit too risky. So what we need to keep in mind is, because we've got such a crowded market, or crowded short positions on the dollar, any positive news that comes out could cause some quite large repositioning. So let's say, for example, we have, is IBK a recommended broker? I love Interactive Brokers. I used to use them. I don't really anymore. I used them to a couple of stock trades back in 2024. Really, really good, actually. Yeah, I would, if you have the option to, I would definitely do it. So yeah, if NFP comes out good, we get low unemployment, services is good, average hourly earnings is good, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a large upside move on the dollar. And that's as we see some of these short positions get closed out, we see a bit of a short squeeze, and we see a bit of repositioning. Whereas if it's bad news, that's kind of priced in. I mean, again, it's very crowded to short side dollar. So obviously it's going to have a negative effect on the US dollar. I'm not saying it won't, but I think that short move wouldn't be as significant as a potential upside move if we get positive news, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to squeeze everything in. I've got a half an hour segment today. I normally get about an hour, so I'm just trying to quick fire through all of these things. Can you please discuss pound dollar? Yeah, let's have a look at pound dollar. Oh, wow. Damn, I wish I was in that trade. Unfortunately, I didn't take it. So it seems the pound has lost significant value. And let me just have a very, very quick look and see if I can find out why. I think I'm really behind on this. I should know, but I'll be honest, I've got absolutely no idea what's going on here. UK inflation data, that's 14 days ago, never mind. Extends rise. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything, to be honest, on the pound. Something must have happened, but yeah, I've got no idea. However, as I said with the dollar, I would be very careful at the moment. It's in a kind of make or break situation. If we do see upside from here, I think we're going to see probably back to around 100.5, which would be back to these monthly lows around here. However, if we break lower, that's going to be a bit of a bloodbath, to be honest with you. So it depends. If you want to be a little bit risky into some US data, maybe along here. So there's break and retest off previous highs. That's way too risky for my personal appetite. Let me just see, actually, does this also line up? Yeah, we're coming into the 50% level as well. Technically, it looks okay. But yeah, with the dollar weakness and the pound weakness, it just looks a little bit too risky for me. UK's PM Starmer refuses to back US Chancellor Reeves amid welfare fallout. Is that what it is, OT? I appreciate it. I'll definitely need to have a look into that. I saw last night EU finances going through inflation. Could that have affected the pound? Slightly. That wouldn't have caused this move, though. GP USD bulls kicking the sand for choosing over EU. Yeah, that's really true. Yeah, imagine trying to buy pound dollar when you could just be in euro dollar and sat through all of this. Although again, just the market here again is screaming short position. Again, not taking shorts. I'm not planning to really do anything until tomorrow's data, but this just looks beautiful, really. I mean, this is again the 2008 trend. We're at the peak of this trend. We're also at the trend line from previous highs. We're pushing up the weekly Bollinger. We've got the weekly RSI also overbought. So from a technical view, this market is more than due a pullback. But obviously, the danger of saying the market is due a pullback can be very, very dangerous, to say the least. But if I was to look to buy, the only situation I could really justify it is if we saw a pullback into this 50% level on the daily time frame. Anything less than that, even this is a little bit too high for me to really want to buy. But I don't really see another choice unless we start getting significantly lower prices. But for that, I think we would need a bit of a resurgence in the dollar. I don't think it would just be a positive NFP. DXY to 95 looking good. Let me just have a quick look. Where's 95? Let me mark that. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, again, depends where you sit with the dollar. If you think it's going to just stay within this trend of, stay within the upside trend it's in, you could very easily get some sort of flush here before going higher. Or it could be a case of we break lower, we start retesting previous structure and then start dumping off a cliff. I'm going to be honest, as I said, I'm really not looking to speculate on that until at least we get tomorrow's data, because that would be a big tell on what the markets are going to expect the Fed to do. UK Chancellor may get the boot. Crazy. Basically, GBP sold off because bond vigilantes decided to dump UK gilts and GBP at the same time. I did see something about that on Twitter. I saw someone say that the pound and the gilts were selling off. But again, just didn't look into it. Charles, hello, it's good to see you. Not spoken to you in a while. Hope you're well. Rachel Reeves committed to slashing 5 billion GBP in budget deficit by the way of reducing sickness benefits, disability benefit, and that's completely backtracked. So loss of confidence. I see, Brian. Okay, I get it. Thank you. I appreciate the coverage on that. I mean, that sounds like a positive in a humanitarian view, but obviously, yeah, markets aren't really a humanitarian thing, are they? It's sharks in the water in this career. Let me hide that. Okay, let's go back to the Edge Finder and have a quick scan. I've got about 10 minutes left, so we can have another quick look at some possible trades, and then I think there's Chris coming to take over. So DAX we've already covered. China 50, never even looked at that market, so I'm not going to start doing that now because I don't really know what I'm talking about. Euro dollar we've already looked at. Swiss yen. So, I've got 2 Edge Finders open. Lucky me. So Swiss yen, as I mentioned yesterday, I've been very, very bearish on Swiss yen for pretty much the past 7 months since the start of this year. And that was based on the idea that we're going to have the Bank of Japan continue their path to normalization. And obviously in turn hiking rates. But the problem is the tariffs have paused that. There's a lot of, similar to the Fed, they're just not looking to hike at the minute. Obviously, I'm not saying Fed's hiking their cuts in, but similar idea. And the Swiss has been used as a massive safe haven. So we've seen massive appreciation there. So the idea of that rate divergence coming in from the S&B cutting down to neutral rates moving negative and Bank of Japan hiking rates, it's just not fluctuated as I thought it would back at the start of the year. So I did cut some positions. In fact, I cut all the positions on this trade for it's roughly 1.2% loss, if I remember correctly. It was very minor, but I still like the idea. So I'm happy to jump back in, but I think it might be more of an end of this year trade. So I think sorry, it just started raining really heavily, like hail. I think the idea is fine. I think I was just way too early to the party. So that's on the back of my mind. But right now, I would continue to look to buy on pullback Swiss yen. I think it'd be a little bit silly really to do anything else. This trend is incredibly strong. Edge Finder is still bullish as well, as we can see here. So yeah, buying pullback Swiss yen, in my opinion, make a lot of sense. Am I going to stream tomorrow? I'm on this channel tomorrow, Giovanni, but I've kind of stopped streaming on my own channel. I've got a lot going on at the minute. So yeah, I'm making half an hour breaks in my day to come on here. But yeah, my own channel's had to take a bit of a back seat recently. If tariffs are going to raise inflation in Japan, doesn't that lead to higher chances that BOJ will hike further? Yes, potentially, but the thing is, it's uncertainty. It's similar. If you listen to the Fed narrative as well, it's the case of we don't know what to expect, so we don't want to move before we know, which has obviously put a stick in the mud for my Bank of Japan hiking idea. They are still expected to hike. I'm not saying they're going to cut rates, but again, it's just a waiting game really now. There is nothing for me to do. So dollar CAD, dollar Swiss, and dollar yen. Dollar yen looked quite nice again, actually, for a long position, which I'm not going to take. So I was looking yesterday here. Oh, wait, sorry, on the H4 at these previous lows. I would have loved to have bought here. I didn't do it because the market or the landscape for dollar just didn't really call for a long position at the time. But yeah, similar to, as I was saying, with dollar overall, I think it's just a little bit too late to sell, and I think it's a little bit too early to buy. So if we can see a dollar pullback, I would consider selling dollar Swiss here. However, if that gets stopped out and we do see a larger pullback and the economics is still saying it's bearish dollar, the second entry I've got is right here. So that would be sort of the longer term trade. So yeah, I'll see how either of those play out. Might get it, might not. Again, if we do get positive data tomorrow, I've got no interest in selling dollar. I would actually look to buy dollar, low risk at a relatively low price, and see if we could get some sort of runner there. New Zealand yen also seems quite attractive. Sorry, I was reading something there. It's not on the Edge Finder, is it? Yeah, it is. So we've got a score of 7. I knew I had it marked up for a reason. The problem is with New Zealand yen, It's really, really, really choppy. So there isn't really anything to do here because it's just sideways noise. I think the only real way into the market actually would be pretty much where it is. So buying at the recent lows while price is still hovering just above this 200. Stop loss relatively tight, maybe here just below this candle with a trailing stop, and just hope, well, maybe no, hope, no, not a good word for the markets, but just see if we can get sort of a continuation of risk on markets, which would obviously benefit New Zealand dollar, and it would continue to damage the yen's value as well. So this could be a good play, but yeah, right now, technically, it's just not really ready, I think. James, haven't you seen you stream for a while? Yeah, I was in the US last week. So I was in the US for about a week and a half, or traveling for about a week and a half. So I just couldn't get on stream. So I'm back now. Sean's fine. Yeah, I see Sean every day. If ADP is correct and NFP tomorrow is also super bad, the Fed might be forced to cut this month like last year. Yes, Alphaman, I completely agree. Excuse me. Keep an eye on Nat Gas. Right, let's have a look at Nat Gas then. Are we looking to go long or short, Paul? Out? What's your call on Nat Gas? Let's see. This looks really good, actually. This when's this trend line established? August 2024. So it's been almost a year. I suppose we do have this going on. We've got these lower highs being formed. So, okay, so you want a long to 4.3. I would be willing to take the risk here. It's not the best setup, I wouldn't say, because my view here is I'm more be trading this from just a trend line. There is nothing else there for me, technically. The other thing is I don't know anything about Nat Gas in terms of what's driving it, what's currently going on with Nat Gas, but I think this could probably play out quite nicely as long as we could break above the previous high and break above this trend line and the moving average. I think you'd be pretty much set. Again, assuming that the drivers for Nat Gas are still strong. Got a little afro going on. Yeah, I decided to grow out my hair a little bit. I had to wear a hat a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, because it went too short. My forehead looked massive, so I couldn't have that. And I didn't want to do that again, so I'm not really sure what to do. Nat Gas is bouncing from 3.3, but below key EMAs, eyeing job states like everyone else, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I do like it. You know, this trend looks really, really strong. But again, I would just have to do a bit of research on, why would Nat Gas start appreciating in value? If I could figure that out, then yes, this might be quite a nice trade to go into. Let's just have a check up on DAX. So DAX might actually be ready to go long. I'm just going to go to the H1. Yeah, so I think I actually might go long DAX. I'm not going to do that now. I might do it after stream. Relatively tight stop, so something like this. Target fib extension. Trail stops quite generously. Yeah, I think this could be quite a nice play, actually. As I said earlier, or as I showed you earlier, it is top reading on the Edge Finder. So we've got technicals lining up, we've got the Edge Finder lining up. I don't see a reason to not jump into this one. Just seeing what else we've got. Oil. Let's have a quick look at oil. Hello, James. You spoke about gold. Yeah, we can have another look at gold. I did speak about it. But yeah, we can quickly have a look back. DAX looks good. I like it. Also, don't trade DAX. Fair enough. Ball out. Oil's tricky because, I say this quite a lot, and I'm feeling a bit like an amateur when I keep saying this, but it's not something I trade. So I'm not 100% sure on what's driving oil right now, because obviously we had the Middle East situation that obviously caused waves in oil. However, where is it going to go next and why is sort of the question. But on the simple version, we do have a bearish reading on oil on the Edge Finder. We've had quite a large drop. So there's two options here. You could either look for a sort of momentum play where if the market breaks out of this range to the downside. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit here. So if the market manages, hold on, my mouse is not clicking properly. Here, yeah. So if the market breaks below the range and does something like this, a short entry right here could be quite interesting, again, just for a sort of momentum trade. However, I'd be more interested in seeing some sort of 50% pullback before going short, because in markets like this where we have very aggressive candles, I generally quite like to see those candles get corrected, or at least partly corrected by 50%. So I think this could be quite an interesting trade to take if we do get that. I want to buy oil at 51.5, however, I don't know if it will fall that much. Yeah, to be honest, if oil continues to drop, I would be quite happy to start picking it up at a lower price. Let me have a quick look here. See, if we could come down to the bottom of this Bollinger, I may take a bit of a mean reversion trade and just put a very small size and just see if we can start seeing higher prices on oil. But again, I need to do a bit more research before solidifying that idea. But on the surface, I quite like it. Okay, so quickly back to gold. I'm just going to quickly stop sharing my screen. I just need to check Discord, and I don't want to leak something. Just bear with me for a second, because I get messages on Discord from the A1 guys when my time's up. So I'm just going to put that on the other screen. Okay, we should be back. There we go. Yes, so as I was saying on gold slightly earlier in the stream, we do have an interesting point here on gold. Now, I'm not really bullish or bearish at the moment. I think I would really need to see, or I do really need to see what tomorrow's data is going to be. Positive NFP, is the dollar going to strengthen or is it going to get worse? And in turn, how is the Fed going to interpret that? Bad labor data likely is going to lead to us seeing a cut in July. However, if it's mediocre or sort of on targets or above, likely we're going to see a hold, and we might see the dollar start to gain value. And the reason that I think we'd see the dollar gain value on a mediocre, when I say mediocre, I mean like on target as forecast, is more because we've got such a heavy crowded trade short dollar. We've already priced in pretty much the bad news. It's expected. So I think if we don't get bad news, it's good. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Anything that's not bad will be classed as good, even if it's just okay. And that's just my view. I'm not saying that's going to happen 100%. So again, that leads me on to sort of where gold's going to go and my expectations. If NFP and unemployment disappoint tomorrow, I would love to be a buyer in oil. In gold, and I would be looking for two situations: either a retest of the previous lows here, or the other option would be sort of the break and retest of the trend line or the previous high here, whatever it may be, just some basic technical setup. If it's the opposite and we do see the dollar start to strengthen, we see the Fed may hold rates July and may cut in September, I'd be looking for a short-term short trade on gold. Again, nothing huge. I wouldn't be looking for, 2,500, just a very short-term position just to take some pips out of gold, see a slightly lower price. Then maybe I would start to buy gold again if there is some sort of reason to at the time. But as we sit right now, it's very flat when it comes to the data, especially on the Edge Finder. New York Mayor is a G. ADP came out very bad, but dollar rises. Yeah, I mean, there's two things with that. Firstly, ADP is not a huge deal. It does move the market, as we did see. We did see a slight move on the dollar. I think it was this candle here, but it just isn't significant enough, especially when we've got the markets waiting for the big news tomorrow, which is NFP, unemployment, average hourly earnings, and services. So that's sort of the big watch. ADP was a slight chink in the armor, not the death-defying blow for the dollar, if that makes sense. And as I said earlier, I really do think that the majority of bad sentiment around the dollar is already priced in. So poor data for the dollar, unless it's severely bad, like NFP could be, it's not going to be a massive sinking ship just yet. But again, that's just my opinion, my thoughts. It could change tomorrow. Anyway, guys, we do have Chris Pulver coming to take over the show. So I appreciate everyone being here, as always. It's been great talking to you, and I'm glad to be back. It's good to see you guys. Have a good one. I'll see you all very soon. Stay safe.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to today's A1 trading session. We love engaging with our audience, talking shop, taking requests, and sharing our favorite setups. It's about that time where we're going to review a bunch of indexes, stocks, currencies, gold, silver, Bitcoin, and pretty much anything else and share our insights. If you're wondering what trades I'm in, if you're wondering what trades I'm taking, and you'd like to see exactly how I'm trading everything, you can actually follow my trading signals. If that sounds like something you're interested in, we'll share a link in the chat and you can sign up. You can sign up directly with the link or speak to a support rep if you have any questions. If you're asking, what do I trade? Pretty much everything. Indexes, ETFs, stocks, options, futures, Forex, and crypto. Thoughtful analysis, active trading. Check it out. And now, back to the show. Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back. It's got a couple trades running this morning on some SPX. This is the day before non-farm payroll, so let's see what the market's feeling. 6,200 like yesterday, still pretty sticky. Doesn't necessarily mean to just hang out at 6,200, but this is by far my largest liquidity level, gamma level today. There's a lot of noise. Here's a good way to see it. There's a lot of noise around these current levels. So probably just a lot of premium selling going on right now. Maybe the outlier would be non-farm payroll. Tomorrow morning, let's take a look at the calendar. Let's go to this week. So Thursday, non-farm, we're looking at 240,000. Nope, that's unemployment claims. Sorry. So we're looking at non-farm numbers, 111,000. What would be a good miss, or I'm sorry, what would be a good number? What would be a bad number? I'd say anything under 100,000 is probably seen as a bit of a miss. It's going to potentially still spark concerns of a softening labor market. Average hourly earnings have been steady, but the unemployment claims have been sneaking higher. If you take a look at this on the chart side, let's go out a little bit. It's been steady. The one thing, it's not really the unemployment claims, it's the continued that I think is maybe the bigger concern. Okay, it's hanging on to a couple levels here. So let me take a quick peek here. So we go initial. So I've got the initial jobless claims at 236K. There's two levels that I watch. This one is still pretty well contained. So this is initial jobless claims. It's the continuing jobless claims that I think might be the bigger, more important number to watch for non-farm tomorrow. Is this one isn't trending, right? Like since 2022, it's been about the same. It's the continuing jobless claims that we're starting to notice is ticking higher. So this one has been trending higher since summer of 2022 and continuing to go up. This is not a good sign. Okay. So even if we do have, solid positive number tomorrow, over 100 grand is fine. Like 100,000 jobs is fine. I think under 100,000 will start to maybe show a crack in the labor market, start to show some headlines that are showing concerns. Interesting headlines yesterday. Trump says he's not going to extend the deadline for July 9. So apparently our official 90-day pause is July 9, right? Our pause is July 9. When that pause is done, what happens? Are we going to force the world to pay tariffs? Are we going to, up the, I don't know. That's like nobody freaking knows. Like all we know is that the market just got a breather for 90 days. And here we are July 9th, which is next week. What does it all mean? I don't know. I don't think tariffs is as important as it was, April, like end of March, early April, when it was all happening, Liberation Day onwards. But that pivot on the 9th showed like, okay, the U.S. isn't really trying to put on a global trade war. It's trying to do something with trading more and encouraging some trade, whatever. Point is, there's still some cracks. the market doesn't seem to care. I mean, if you look at what this market has shrugged off, the only thing that's really going to change, in my opinion, to change the trajectory of this market is going to be earnings season, which is still about 2 to 3 weeks away. When we start to heat up with all the financials, then your Mag 7s, earnings has to be pretty darn good, because if it's not, it's going to be easy for this market to start contracting and compressing, and we see a little bit of earnings compression if that's the case, or the only companies that are making money are the cream of the crop, like your top 10, top 20, top 30 stocks or something like that are carrying the broader market. Health wise, I mean, I think it's S5 FI. Yep. So above the 50-day, look at this thing. Like, this is today. So we have some decent market breadth this morning. I mean, the market's pushed from 67% of stocks above the 50-day now to over almost 80%. This is the S&P 500. 80% of stocks are above the 50-day moving average. Okay, look at this surge. This is today, a big jump in stocks. I mean, I was getting alarms yesterday on stocks that I haven't watched in a while. That Snap was up, Pfizer was up. There were some, definitely some beat up stocks. All right, that's good. Let's get out of this one here. Okay. Just got to keep an eye on one thing today. I'm going to put in another trade. So if I go there, there. Okay. Keep an eye on that for the day. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, so market breadth, getting a nice little surge on the 200-day. So we are seeing another push. This isn't a huge surprise considering this time of the year. July is usually a pretty bullish month, and a lot of that happens this like first week of July. We kind of come off of if we're recovering into June, or this June was just an additional melt up. July tends to kind of pick up and continue that momentum. It's pure summer trading for the most part. Path of least resistance. It's a holiday, so this week we'll see it. Like Thursday, the market closes at 1. No trading on Friday. Markets are closed, right? But we're getting, a nice little surge in market breadth. Like I said, I saw stocks yesterday that were up that I haven't seen pop in a while. Let's go to FinViz. We have about that's surprising, actually. I thought we'd have more. Shows only about 45% of stocks advancing versus 47.8% declining. You're getting a big lead here by some big boys. You got Tesla leading the way with a big gap up. You got Apple up as well. NVIDIA up a little bit. AVGO up a little bit. Let's take a look at this heat map a little bit more in detail. So you got some software stocks down. Adobe is down. Okay. Healthcare plans, UNH down. I still have a ratio spread on UNH at like the 260 level. Okay, we got a lot of like lows and flats on the day. We'll see where things go. And I'm going to try to get 62.10. Are we drifting up to Maybe a ceiling today, 15, 20, 25. I'm looking to do a sell trade up here. Okay, I'm going to get a couple sell trades running. So 62. See if I get a 20 and 25. Maybe the 25, 35. Okay, sprinkling a little bit of a wall there. I go 20 to 30. That one's an overlap. I can't go 20, 30. I'm going to go 25 to 35. Try a little overlap. All right. So stocks that I saw pop yesterday. Snapchat on a rip. I actually closed out. So I did some maintenance yesterday, and these are some updates you should be aware of. I did this in Pulver alerts. So some trades, if you're in on some of my Pulver alerts with some of these campaign trades, I own shares of Intel. I'm rolling calls. I'm making income on this. Snapchat, I actually removed the covered call for a loss, and I'm letting the stock run. This one at some decent lows. I think Snap has the chance to get up to. I mean, I'd be happy at like 12.90, but there's room to get up here to these levels around like $15, $16. I'd love to see a big fat squeeze on Snapchat to the upside and run this thing for my break even price is like $8. So $8 to 16, I'd be pretty happy with that trade. But if it gets up to $12.90 to $13, I'd still be happy with that just to cut it off early. But I've got a limit set at $15. So I'm in the trade. I'm not trying to sell calls right now. If I'm going to sell calls, it's going to be something in the money. If price is already up at a price I'm willing to accept, then that's the trade. Like I want to just take the run to like $15, $16 before I close the shares. JD, I rolled some calls on this one to decrease my cost basis. TLT, I added another leg to my diagonal. IWM, I rolled shares out and up, so I increased my profit by another $2.05. Tesla, I've got different accounts with different levels, but on most of my accounts, I ended up increasing my profit by $710. And on one account, I did $11.30 or $1,130. So just some active management on some of the core positions. But we saw, a move like Pfizer yesterday. Pfizer at 25 and change. I tried to go out here and say, you know what? I think I'm going to sell a call in Pfizer. I'm not going to. Like the premiums are so bad, and this stock is so beat up with tons and tons of divergence and oversold conditions. I'm like, look, Pfizer, just give us a squeeze. If Pfizer gives us a little bit of a squeeze, we get above this trend line for the first time in months. Do we have a squeeze on Pfizer up into the 30s? Right? We get to 30, 31, 32. I mean, my break even on Pfizer is like $24. So I don't need to hang on to this thing forever. But if we get a run up into some resistance, that's a pretty good spot. I would probably just take profit. And if it comes back down, I'll reload and I'll do it again. I'll do it again because it's probably going to take time to bottom out. I don't think we just go down on Pfizer, V bottom, and go up. It's not that type of stock. This is the type of stock that if it stops the bleeding, it goes up and it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And this is going to be the accumulation phase that you're going to have bigger money that's going to be invested in. And then the value is going to be, okay, hey, this fair market value is $35 or $40. And so it's a value play at that point. And big money institutions would be accumulating. All of a sudden we have a run and a rip into those price levels. And then that's when it gets dumped and I'm not going to chase it. I'm going to be in it. So if we get out at like $30, $31, that's safely out. I don't have to beg this thing to do anything. I take profit and then I can reload at lows again or position with ratio spreads or some fancy options trades to say, look, I'll own it at $24 again. But if not, I'll take income. And if it goes up higher, I'll just keep the income. But if I load it back up, I, buy, take profit, buy it again, take profit, buy it again, take profit. We can just range trade this thing. That's the type of stock that it is, in my opinion. We're going to have a bigger bottom, and we're just going to get a range trade for maybe several months. So, but the premiums are just not great. That's why even though we're up from the lows at 21, this is like a pretty big move. It's 21% off the lows. Most of the time I get excited about that, but the premiums are so bad, I'm just not touching it. Okay. All right. So let's see what we get. There's some moves on the day. That was yesterday. Getting some direction right now. 62.15, 62.20, 62.25. Those are my ceilings for the day. Center price around 6,200. I've got a trade in that's benefiting from that move. So right now, I've got about $30, $40 on that trade running. Okay. What else? Let's go top down. I do have a hard stop today just before 11 o'clock, just so you know. So I'm going to try to get through all the top down stuff. I know yesterday we kind of talked strategy. I don't know if it was ratio spread. It might have been ratio spread. But anyway, I'll stick to kind of core stuff. Let's go currency strength for the morning. Dollar's catching a bit of a bid. Pound got hit really hard this morning around 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. So we have dollar and CAD on top together. Swiss just below that. Euro, yen, Aussie, New Zealand a little bit softer. My Aussie New Zealand longs are still looking pretty good. Aussie CAD's finally getting a pullback. Let's check some currencies. Let's go dollar index. As I said these last several weeks, I mean, everyone's like, what do we do on the dollar? I've been telling traders, don't short the dollar. This is symmetry. This is technical like bounce level. This is a potential oversold and divergent trade with a lot of crowded. Everyone's talking sell the dollar. Okay. I don't want to be positioned like that. So I think if anything, this dollar can retrace and then we look for another leg of selling. All right. So I don't really want to touch the dollar until it's back up to 100 or maybe 102. And then I'll look for confirmation to start looking to sell high, stop loss above a turn, and then take it down to fresh lows. I think 90 is a great spot. If we take the DXY down to 90 from another 100, 101 handle, that's a great trade. And we can position obviously on all of our currency pairs for that move. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm not long the dollar. I'm not like I'm just going to be waiting for some pullbacks here. But euro dollar, if we start to break this trend line, okay, we start to break that trend line, then possibly a little sell, stop loss above the turn, see if the euro dollar comes back down to some structure, maybe 112, maybe 111. Probably 112 is safe. But I want confirmation. Pound dollar, turning hard, still hasn't broken this trend line. If we put in a topping pattern, if the pound dollar sweeps this low, let's say we put in a topping pattern, pull back, there's a good swing trade on the pound. Right? Take out the low, pull back to like a 5-0, stop loss above. You can, sell 1, sell 2, stop loss above that, and then swing from trend line to trend line. Let's go Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar, we had a pullback towards around 63.60, 63.70. If we pull back to there again, I think we pull back to there again. I like this area as a potential long, but it'd be area 1 and area 2 to get long. Okay, and then looking for a bigger swing to open space like 67 to 6,800. New Zealand dollar, same thing. We pull back to like 5,900, 58.50. Area 1, and I'd say area 2. Stop loss to be below this low. So area 1, area 2, still looking to trade back up to highs or open space back up towards like 63, 63.50, all the way up here. 63.70 of those highs. Okay, and look, if I don't get the pullback that I want, if this is just going to make a pullback, a pullback, a pullback, a pullback, a pullback like that, I'm probably not going to get much of the trade that I want, unfortunately. And that's okay. I've got to be okay with that. But I'm hoping we get a decent equal level to pull back. Okay, let's go top down from Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD, I'm still long Aussie CAD. I'm looking for a pullback into this 382 to 618 zone. Aussie Swiss, I think this is the next leg for me is just wait. Wait for a trend line break, see if this is a low, high, higher low to then get a push into the 200 moving average, or is this, which I've been experiencing now for like 2 years, which is we make a low, we pull back, we still slowly go all the way back down to the lows, and then we hit the lows and we have like a range trade. Maybe it's a range trade. Maybe this is a double bottom that finally starts to go the other way. I don't know yet, but I'm still holding. Okay, Aussie yen, nothing. Aussie New Zealand. I'm long Aussie New Zealand. I want to get more long. I want to stack in more trades. 106. If we get it, I just have a pen. I just have an order like it. 10. I think 110 and 108 are my two levels on Aussie New Zealand. I'm trying to get back to the highs at 112. I'd like to get back to the highs at 114. I don't know if I'm going to hang on to it that long. So 110, 108, trying to get back to 112 or so. Aussie dollar we just did. CAD Swiss at some fresh lows. Hopefully this thing's ready to make a turn. This trend line just has to break. I mean, honestly, the patient side of the CAD Swiss is, do we get this stupid currency? And a currency like this, it's surprising that this thing is down. I mean, this is down 2,000 pips. The CAD Swiss of all currency pairs is down 2,000 pips. What the fudge? That's crazy. So if it ever decides to turn, do we have a high and a low that gets back to equilibrium? The equilibrium is probably around this like 68 to 6,900 zone. It's going to take time. Like we'd have to put in, you'd probably see a pretty obvious bullish pattern. You'd see some wave structure in here, but I would just go high, low, and try to find the 50% zone. And that'd be a great profit target. There's still pockets way back here. There's still pockets way back here. There's still pockets way back here. All these need to be hit at some point. It's just a matter of when does this thing stop going down. CAD yen, no trade. Swiss yen, not interested unless this thing turns really hard. We have to turn really hard at these tops. Euro Aussie, no trade. Euro CAD, I didn't call the top. I was looking at selling it, at equal highs. I didn't. We had some wonky stuff going on with the oil, so I stayed out of it, which I'm kind of glad that I did. But I don't know. I mean, if it somehow like comes back down here, maybe there's a swing. It's just not my favorite. I'm going to say Euro CAD, Pound CAD a little tricky right now. Euro Swiss, I'm still long. Going to hang on to longs. Euro Pound, this thing's nuts. I can't believe how much Euro Pound is moving. Like this is a lot of direction that we haven't seen in literally years. And this Euro Pound has come alive in a pretty interesting way. Most edits have a robot trading it, but still. Euro New Zealand, Euro Yen's cleared some resistance. I mean, maybe a run up into this area. So 173 to 175. If that's resistance, I mean, that to me looks like a pretty good short. Low risk, potentially massive reward. If the trade works, it's a great trade. Obviously, I want to have a stop loss plan though. Euro New Zealand, no trade. Euro dollar, I wouldn't short this thing until the dollar actually breaks. We'd have to see that. Got to break that trend line first. Have to see a nice little topping pattern. Pound Aussie, leave it alone. Pound CAD, turning nicely. That's mostly the pound today, but we're selling that resistance around 8,800 worked out pretty nicely. Pound Swiss, want to see what the bottom does. I mean, that's a big drop. It's pretty inefficient. Maybe we have a nice double bottom here at 107. Just stay small. I still think it's a good trade. I mean, 106, it's like, okay, you've got 106, but you've got intervention levels at 102. I mean, if I'm willing to trade very small, be conscious of the margin here, but if it was buy the low at 107 or 106, and then a 104, and then a 102, if this falls very inefficiently, that would be an easy 1, 2, 3 to test this area and then see this thing pop back up and find these pockets and inefficiencies, and you take it back to like 110. Initially, the profit target was around 1350. I would modify that if I'm getting in lower levels. I would modify it, take profit, and have multiple winners here at like a 110 handle. Okay, pound yen, nothing. If you're scalping, maybe pound New Zealand, no. Pound dollar turning, just not breaking the trend line yet. New Zealand CAD turning. I'm still waiting to see if we get a pullback towards like the 50618 zone. New Zealand Swiss. I'm waiting. We have a pretty decent bar count on this one. Lots of pockets. Maybe a double bottom at 46. Just I don't know. I'm being patient. I'll hold whatever. New Zealand yen, nothing. New Zealand dollar. If we get a pullback, great. Otherwise, it could be this. A range trade, maybe a range trade, right? We'll see. Dollar CAD, nothing yet. 34, 33, 3,200, maybe buying in there. Otherwise, wait for the trend line to break. Dollar Swiss has breached the lows. I mean, there's 8,000. We're down by about 100 pips below that. I'm just cautious. Like, this to me is divergence. This to me is divergence where we have lower lows in price, disagreement in momentum, relative strength is oversold. I'm not really looking to hold this thing all the way back to 92. My break even's around 85, probably a little bit lower now because I did add in at the bottom. But I would say this is going to be my profit target right there. Between like 86 and 88, that's my profit target. And in order for me to add more to this, if anything, it would be we've got to have a run back up into these highs, maybe break a trend line, get like a 3-wave move, maybe a 5-wave if I'm going to get greedy. Otherwise, a 3-wave move is totally fine. So if I can get 86, 87, 88, 100 profit target with a break even at 84 or lower, I'm going to take the profit. Okay, and then dollar yen will be last. Dollar yen is, I think, just a mess. Watch this level. Watch this level. Lots of resistance here around the 149, 150 handle. We have a major high at 162, a major floor at 140. This wouldn't surprise me if this ends up happening. I don't know if this becomes a break to the upside or we end up breaking and going lower. I said this before. Just don't be. I guess don't sit on the sidelines forever. If we're going to have a break below 140, 140 to 120, I think is a great trade in the dollar yen, and I think it can happen. I have a feeling that the dollar's going to have to get set up for like a big multi-month sell-off. If we're going to break 140 and go to 120, then it's either the whole Japanese yen basket gets stronger or it's truly led by just a big dollar weakness move. And I'm not sure which is going to happen. So until this happens, I really don't care what the dollar yen does. This to me is noise. I'm not that interested in dollar yen. Okay. I'm interested in, can I sell this thing crazy high, get a great trade setup where my reward to risk is just monstrous. Okay. Or we break the floor at 140, stop loss above, give yourself a little bit of breathing room, and then it breaks, retest, goes, and just sells off, and you're looking at lower highs the whole time. Because in my opinion, if we go from 140 to 120, it's not going to be slow. We go from 140 to 120 probably pretty quickly, the same way we did here. Okay. If we break and go that way, it's like it's going to be fast. So that's why I'm willing to be patient and just ignore all this noise, because this is not what I want to trade. I'm not going to position for a negative swap and hold my breath if this thing gets to 120. I'd rather just let the market confirm it, let the volatility take off, and let it rip to 120. And I'm just participating with like maybe some days or weeks, like swing trades. Doesn't have to be months and months and months. Okay. All right. Let's see what else is going on today. Let's go DAX, gold, silver, Bitcoin. VIX, by the way, VIX is way down today. Let's see if I can get a 6,200 pin. 62. Okay, I'm going to try to get filled for 65 cents on a little butterfly spread. Give me filled at 60, please. Come on. Okay. Anyway, DAX off the lows a little bit. This is a 23% pullback. That's pretty shallow. We might go sideways. I don't see a 23% being the big level that's going to thrust this thing higher. So a sideways would maybe offer up an equal low to position for some more accumulation. Or we have a high, low, lower, high, lower low, try to get into slightly deeper retracement level from the April low, and then maybe like the 30 to 50% zone. That looks like a better trade to get back to highs or higher. So anyway, I'll keep an eye on DAX. FTSE, similar. I mean, this thing's rolling over a little bit. I'd like to see it pull back to at least like the 30%, 30% or 50%, buying the dip, trying to get back to the highs or higher. China, it's okay. Brazil, breaking some highs. Okay, we just cleared this high around 28.50. Let's see if Brazil just stays above the 200 moving average. Latin America, same thing. Cleared this recent high from May. That's good. I'm long on both of these. Mags is up on the day. Probably the big contributor why the market is up as well. Mags up 1.37, and you've got the S&P up, quarter 1%. But that's not a surprise. Like Mags is up and it's dragging the markets with it because we only have like 40% of stocks making highs today or making green. If it's led by Mags, that's big enough to get a positive move. So Mags up on the day. Apple's had a pretty good couple of days. Apple back up to 212. Amazon up to some decent highs at 220. Still a long ways to go to all-time highs. I still like buying dips on Amazon. I got a ton of ratio spreads down here off these April lows. Broadcom, I put in a little bear call spread here, trying to keep this thing below 265 by the July 18th expiration. Google, a lot of volatility, but my ratio spreads are below 150. I've got like some 135s, 105s. I sold a lot of premium on Google. I'll try to stay out of the way. Meta pulled back at the highs. That's fine. If we pull back to like equilibrium, that'd be great. I don't know if I'm going to get it. I'd like to say I'm going to get a trade on Meta that I can reposition for. This is probably one of the few Mag 7 stocks that is like Microsoft and Meta, probably two of the bigger players in the AI space right now as far as Mag 7 making that big transition into AI. I think that's going to be, two big players will be Meta and Microsoft. Netflix, a little bit off the highs, overbought conditions with inversions. I expect a pullback here. I just don't know how severe. NVIDIA, we did breach all-time highs at 153. We're higher. We obviously have some overbought conditions. A little bit of topping would be fine. This was a kind of an inefficient, like blow-off move. A pullback to 140 and change, a pullback into the 130s. I mean, to me, look at this as a potential bullish pattern, right? This level, if we get our low to high and we pull back to like 23 to 30%, 38%, great spot to position for, get back to the highs and go higher. Maybe. If it's just a big range trade, okay, fine. But I would sell I've got naked puts at $70 on NVIDIA that I will keep. Tesla, a lot of volatility here. Gap down, gapped up today. We're up to 315. I sold some premium yesterday. I rolled some calls out to August. I'm going to keep rolling calls and just collecting some income. Berkshire, I wanted to place a trade off this 200 moving average, but I'm going to hold off on that for right now. Bonds gapping lower. I sold a 89 call yesterday out to, let me check my expiration here. TLT, I added an 89 for July 18th. So this is now, let me group this together. This is going to be a diagonal. So I've got a 65 by 89. It's up a little bit of profit, but I'm just trying to get it called away. If I get the 89 strike called away, it's going to be about $13,000 in TLT profit. So I'm, selling premium. I'm actively lowering my debit against the diagonal spread. So let's see what happens. But a gap lower doesn't help. Let's see what happened to yields. The 10-year yield up, 20-year yield up, 30-year yield up. Is this in anticipation of this tax bill? Maybe. We'll see. I mean, the Fed stuff's not going to happen until September, October, December. That's if the Fed cuts 3 times this year. We have inflation data not next week, but the week after. So this week is all about non-farm, which is tomorrow. Next week is kind of nothing. The week after we have inflation data, plus we're kicking off earnings season once again. Okay. Yep. Let's go gold and silver. And then I'll let you go here in a couple minutes. Gold is holding nicely around that 32.60 handle. I still think gold is at best range bound. At best range bound. I don't think we're breaking highs on gold. Okay. It doesn't mean I'm short. Okay. It means that if we break highs, that's like the pleasant surprise. But I think that because of this bar count, because of the way that gold has been in a multi-year bull market, I think this is at best an accumulation phase. So if you can find some equal lows here, that's a great spot to be adding positions to gold, adding exposure, adding more options trades, and then look till we get back to the highs and break higher. Eventually, we probably will. The other way this play works is maybe we have resistance here, and this market makes higher lows. Well, that's an ascending wedge, and that to me is still a bullish pattern, right? Some people look at that like, oh, Chris, it's not a rising wedge. Rising wedge is we're going higher and higher, and that pinches and it's so exhausted that it corrects. An ascending wedge is we have a ceiling and the market is kind of building its way up to break that ceiling. Okay. So there's still a lot of good structural evidence that gold is still going to head higher. I just want to see if we can pull back to equal lows first. I'd like a little bit more consolidation if possible. Consolidation, add some more exposure, plan for the highs and beyond. If gold can make new highs, I think silver is going to go with it and possibly outperform. I think silver is a better trade with more room to run. Silver's hanging nicely at 36. I think 36 is fine. We hold here at like 35. We hold even at 34 and change. My big target on this one is going to be 41. If we get to 41 or greater, I think we run to 48, 49, $50 pretty fast. Okay. It's my decision to figure out like, what do I do at $48? Probably take some profit, number one, but number two, it's like put in trailing stop losses just in case it's going to be like a runner that just keeps going. So probably trailing stop losses before I just dump positions, but I don't have anything covered on silver. I'm just running with shares and I've been adding exposure, all these consolidation periods, adding in trades on silver futures, adding in trades on SLV. And hopefully we will continue to see, this run to 48 plus. SLV, I've got it measured, trying to get this up to 44. Look back at all-time highs in SLV. All-time highs around $48. So can we get there? That would be an awesome run of 40+%. If SLV can hit all-time highs, that's a 40+% move. For a metal, that's pretty darn good if you ask me. Okay. All right. Bitcoin at 108. Getting a little run on Bitcoin. MicroStrategy's up to 382. Coinbase continues to run hot. From this rip here, it's like this is like a 70 or 80% move. That was crazy, actually. 160% since March. Wow. A lot of that was on the stablecoin announcement. That was this. So stablecoin, the Genius bill, or whatever the heck they're calling it, from 246 up. I sold a lot of premium on Coinbase at the 150 handle. Made some good income, but what a run on the stock. Pretty impressive. So anyway, copper running hot. This is a good sign too. You got old Dr. Copper looking like things are good in the global economy. Freeport-McMoRan is FCX. Oops, FCX up. So we got some naked puts on this one that are just going to take time, but should be hitting expiration by the end of the year. FCX exposure there. Lots of naked puts up about $1,000 and hopefully more to go. So max profit here would be around 375. We'll go 350 times 4. Yeah, I'm up most of the profit. 350 times 4, about $1,400. So if this gets up into like 90+% of max credit, I'll probably just take the profit. So all right, everybody, I do have to run. Like I said, hard stop at 11 o'clock for me. Let's see what the market gives us for the remainder of the day. Non-farm payroll tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Job numbers are not looking like awesome. 111 is expected. If it stays there, that's fine. But watch the unemployment rate, watch the claims, watch the continued jobless claims as well. Those comes out on Thursday. I think that's the numbers we'll kind of digest tomorrow. Comes out in the morning. Markets are closed at 1 p.m. So we've got limited trading hours tomorrow. Just be careful. It could be a volatile day. And then we'll come into kind of kick off inflation in a couple weeks and earnings season in a couple weeks. And we'll see what July volatility looks like. So, all right, I'll wrap it up there for today. Thanks a lot. And let's come back and do this tomorrow morning. All right, thanks. Bye.
Thanks again for watching today's show. Our goal at A1 Trading is to continue to share free value to our audience through daily videos and articles, keeping you up to date with the latest market coverage. If you enjoy our content, make sure to subscribe for more. From all of us at A1 Trading, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.